Hey guys, tonight we're going to drift through the stars together, exploring some of the most stunning alien facts ever whispered through the cosmos. Soft truths and wondrous possibilities that stretch across galaxies and into your dreams. If this kind of content helps you relax, please subscribe, like the video, and leave your favourite alien theory in the comments. We'd love to know what mysteries make your imagination glow. Now let's begin with something subtle and mysterious, something scientists call the echoes of silence. For decades, researchers have turned their ears to the skies, scanning the cosmic background for even the faintest signs of intelligent life, hoping for a pattern, a rhythm, a signal that breaks the static. But what they've found is something far more profound, a haunting, beautiful stillness. SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, has swept the skies with radio telescopes for more than half a century, listening to the deep space hum. But the silence has been unbroken, as if we're the only voice echoing in an ancient cathedral made of stars. But many believe that silence itself is an answer, a language of restraint, a clue that advanced civilizations may deliberately choose not to speak, or may communicate in ways that don't involve waves or frequencies we can even comprehend. What if they are listening too, just like us, cautious, waiting, observing across unfathomable distances, afraid to reveal themselves, like animals on the edge of a clearing, sensing but not speaking? Others propose a concept called the dark forest theory, a poetic idea suggesting that the universe is quiet not because it's empty, but because it's full and everyone is hiding. In this metaphor, every civilization is like a hunter in a dark forest. To shout into the night would be to reveal your position, and in a cosmos where the unknown lurks in ever a shadow, silence becomes survival. But maybe, just maybe, silence is not fear, it's reverence, a kind of galactic humility. Perhaps we have all reached the same conclusion, that the most intelligent course of action is simply to observe, to learn, and to remain respectfully quiet in a vast cosmic sea that hums with laws we barely understand. Some researchers have speculated that alien civilizations may communicate through methods completely invisible to us. Quantum entanglement, gravitational waves, or even forms of thought transmission that don't rely on language at all. If their minds are not like ours, perhaps their communication feels like intuition, a wave of knowing that doesn't need syntax or sound. Others believe they may have once spoken, perhaps eons ago, before we even existed, and their words now drift like fossilized light in the background radiation of the universe, too ancient and too faint for us to detect. What if the silence we hear is not absence but history? What if we are listening to the aftermath of voices long gone? There's also the thought that Earth itself may be shielded, hidden inside what some call a galactic quarantine zone. In this theory, advanced civilizations are purposefully avoiding us, letting us grow and evolve naturally, in the same way we might observe a developing ecosystem without disturbing it. If true, this could mean we're not alone, just not ready. Like a cocoon still forming. And maybe, just maybe, there are watchers, unseen, unheard, gently waiting for the moment when humanity can finally look outward and understand what it means to share the stars. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine this silence not as loneliness, but as a still garden before dawn. Not emptiness, but potential. Not rejection, but a quiet patience, stretching across time, across space, across the deep velvet sky. Perhaps the most stunning fact of all is that the silence itself might be the very signal we've been waiting for. Let's now explore a theory that feels like a fairy tale written in stardust, a concept scientists call the Goldilocks enigma. It begins with a gentle truth. Not all planets are too hot, and not all are too cold. Some are just right for liquid water, just right for chemistry to blossom, just right, perhaps, for life to rise, stretch, and look back at the stars. These Goldilocks planets, nestled within the habitable zones of distant stars, orbit at a delicate distance where warmth flows but doesn't burn, and cold retreats but doesn't freeze. In the last 2 decades, telescopes like Kepler and TESS have unveiled a quiet orchestra of these worlds scattered across the galaxy. Planets with surface temperatures like Earth, with day-night cycles, with seasons, maybe even with clouds that drift lazily across alien skies. Some of them are slightly larger, called super-Earths, their gravity a bit stronger, their mountains taller, their oceans deeper. Others orbit red dwarfs, receiving dimmer light, but perhaps basking in a kind of infrared warmth that supports life in ways we've never imagined. The idea that Earth is unique has slowly faded, replaced by a new image, a galaxy teeming with billions of planets that might, in their own gentle way, support something precious. And if Earth is one of many, then life might be one of many too. Not rare, not exceptional, but common as dew. The Goldilocks enigma isn't just about temperature. It's about balance. A planet needs the right atmospheric pressure, the right magnetic field to shield from solar winds, the right mix of elements like carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, the alchemy of stability. Some researchers believe this balance may be self-regulating, like Gaia herself, where life, once sparked, begins to shape its environment, cooling or warming the atmosphere, nurturing the conditions it needs to thrive in this New life isn't passive, it's an active participant in maintaining that just right zone. And while our own Earth feels perfectly tuned, there may be worlds even more perfect. Planets with fewer extinction events, calmer tectonics, more stable climates. Worlds where civilizations had more time to grow, uninterrupted, undisturbed. One of the most stunning facts is that our galaxy alone is believed to contain over 300 million potentially habitable planets. And that number grows with every new discovery. Imagine civilizations that bloomed 1 billion years before Earth even cooled, who evolved beside double suns, beneath rings of shimmering light, or under skies filled with auroras not of green and red, but blue and violet. What kinds of beings would arise in such balanced worlds? Would they have art, language? Would they wonder about us the same way we wonder about them? Perhaps somewhere out there, on a Goldilocks planet circling a quiet star, someone is lying awake, asking if they too are alone, not knowing that across the void you are wondering the very same thing. This symmetry, this cosmic parallel, is part of what makes the Goldilocks enigma so beautiful. It paints a universe not of loneliness, but of echo, of mirrored wonder, of countless minds dreaming under countless skies. As you drift deeper into rest, let this idea comfort you, that the universe may be filled not with emptiness, but with endless chances for life to arise, to thrive, and to look upward, softly blinking in the starlight. Part 3. The Voyager Paradox. Our next idea is called the Voyager Paradox, and it begins not with alien hands or distant suns, but with something very human. A pair of tiny spacecraft, launched from Earth nearly 50 years ago, still drifting outward through the cold and quiet dark. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, small emissaries of human curiosity, carry with them not just sensors and instruments, but something poetic. A message in a bottle for the stars. Each carries a golden record, etched with music, languages, greetings, and images of life on Earth. A time capsule of our planet sent out with hope, humility, and a sense of cosmic longing. But here's the paradox. While we hope these probes might one day be found by an alien intelligence, the odds are astronomically small, the distances staggeringly vast, and the silence between stars almost eternal. Still, the Voyager paradox raises a gentle and stunning question. If we, a young species on a pale blue dot, had the desire to send messages into the void, wouldn't others have done the same? Could alien civilizations have launched their own Voyagers, their own interstellar messages, thousands or even millions of years before us? Are there ancient probes floating in the void, older than our species, forgotten even by those who sent them? Some theorists suggest that space may already be populated with such relics, not active, not hostile, but dormant, quietly drifting like cosmic fossils. And if we found one, how would we even recognize it? Would it be metallic, biological? Would it seem like a rock until touched by light or magnetism? Perhaps some of the asteroids we catalogue are not asteroids at all, but alien voyagers, disguised by time and entropy, silent until approached. There's also the idea that probes are better communicators than radio, durable, direct, and capable of travelling for eons without a signal being lost. Probes could be meson, Gers waiting in orbit around distant stars, or parked in Lagrange points of nearby moons, or hidden in the rings of Saturn, observing, studying, quietly recording. The Voyager paradox suggests that the way we reach out may reflect the way others already have, not with flashy transmissions, but with quiet artifacts of wonder and patience. Our own golden record contains greetings in 55 human languages, whale songs, laughter, a baby's cry, and music from Bach to blind Willie Johnson. It tells a story of who we were in 1977, our art, our hopes, our knowledge. But to an alien mind, would this be understandable, or just noise? Would they hear the humanity in our heartbeat rhythms and cello strings, or see only patterns of vibration and geometry? This paradox reminds us that contact may not come in a dramatic broadcast, but in the quiet unboxing of something ancient and strange, found tumbling in orbit, coated in the dust of time. If Voyager is ever discovered, it will have travelled for tens of thousands of years before reaching even the nearest star. And yet, we sent it anyway, because something deep within us believes we are not alone, that the cosmos might one day answer our gentle knock. And perhaps, right now, there are other probes passing silently near our solar system, listening, waiting, unnoticed in the asteroid belt or in the dark far beyond Neptune. As you fall further into sleep, imagine these quiet messengers, ours and theirs, floating like seeds on a galactic breeze, drifting through the velvet corridors of time, carrying stories that may one day be read by eyes we cannot imagine. In the end, the Voyager paradox is not a contradiction. It is a lullaby, a reminder that even in stillness we reach, even in silence we speak. Let's now float toward one of the most visually stunning and intellectually thrilling alien concepts ever imagined. The theory of the Dyson sphere and the dreams that surround it, named after physicist Freeman Dyson. This idea isn't about a simple spacecraft or even a planet, but something far grander, a colossal structure built around an entire star, designed to capture its energy, to harness every photon of light and convert it into usable power. Imagine a ring of mirrors, orbiting like a planetary halo, or a dense cloud of satellites spread like glittering dust around a sun, an artificial shell drinking in the full brilliance of a star. This is not science fiction to some scientists, but rather a logical step in the evolution of an advanced civilization. the kind that has reached what we call Kardashev Type 2 status, able to manipulate the energy of its entire solar system. Dyson spheres, or more accurately Dyson swarms, would glisten with purpose, absorbing solar radiation and possibly glowing with heat in the infrared, whispering their presence to observatories like Kepler or Gaia. Not as flashing beacons, but as strange and gentle anomalies in starlight. In fact, some of these anomalies have already been observed, like the mysterious dimming of KIC 846285, known to many as Tabby's star, which flickers in a way no natural object should. While there are plausible natural explanations, dust clouds, comets, or internal stellar mechanics, the idea of alien megastructures lingers, not as a claim, but as a curiosity, a soft invitation to wonder. For civilizations that no longer need to conquer planets or explore galaxies through ships, a Dyson swarm may be home, power station, habitat, and shrine all in one. Think of thousands of artificial satellites, each the size of a city or a moon, orbiting together like petals in a solar blossom. Life inside such structures would be bathed in steady, managed light. Eternal springtime beneath a false sky, artificial gravity beneath rotating walls. Entire ecosystems could thrive there. Forests, rivers, clouds that never rain too hard, air that never turns cold. Civilizations living inside these structures might forget the stars outside, their world self-contained, their sun hidden behind layers of gold and graphite. And yet, if you stood at the edge of one of these panels and looked outward, you would see space not as an abyss, but as a mirror, a reflection of purpose, of artistry on a scale that challenges human comprehension. Some theorists believe Dyson swarms might even be visible from Earth if we knew what to look for, stars that flicker too perfectly, or that emit more heat than light, as if wrapped in a blanket of industry and intention. Others believe these structures might not just capture light, but serve as massive computing engines, stellar brains thinking across centuries, running simulations, dreaming dreams larger than worlds. The builders of such swarms would not be like us. Their patience would span epochs, their architecture silent and sublime. And perhaps they don't build them all at once. Maybe Dyson swarms begin as small rings, added to generation by generation, the way trees grow rings across time. Maybe some of them have been growing for 1 billion years, orbiting ancient red dwarfs, quietly collecting the remnants of light that still burn in old stellar hearts. And maybe we will build one someday, not to control a sun, but to cradle it, to honor it, to create a sanctuary in its warmth. As you drift deeper into stillness, let the image of a Dyson swarm unfold gently in your mind, like a pearl shell around a flame, like a flower of mirrors orbiting the soul of a star. Not a cage, but a cathedral. Not a machine, but a whisper of what intelligence, vision and time can create when unbound. In that vast, glimmering structure somewhere far away, perhaps life exists not in chaos, but in harmony. A civilization that dreamed not of war, but of wonder. This next idea is called the zoo hypothesis, and it gently suggests something quietly profound. That perhaps we are not alone, not unseen, but rather carefully watched, observed from a bourse distance like animals in a preserve, living out our days unaware of the beings beyond the veil. The hypothesis begins with a question whispered softly across decades of cosmic silence. If the universe is teeming with life, then where is everybody? Why have we not been contacted, not even once? The zoo hypothesis answers with elegant restraint. They are there. but they choose not to interfere. They are silent watchers, patient observers, keeping a respectful distance from a species still learning, still growing, still discovering the edges of its own nature. In this vision, Earth is not neglected, it is protected. A fragile biosphere wrapped in quiet attention, a living museum in a galactic park, where intelligent life watches without intrusion. We are the exhibit, not the guests. And while that may sound unsettling, the idea is not one of exploitation or cruelty. It is one of reverence. Just as we might tiptoe around an untouched rainforest or preserve endangered species without interference, so too might an alien civilization understand the importance of letting life evolve naturally. The Watchers might orbit silently in invisible probes, or nest in the shadows of the moon, or dwell quietly in higher dimensions, brushing against us only in dreams. Some suggest these beings may have long ago agreed upon a kind of cosmic prime directive, a rule to never interfere with pre-contact civilizations, to allow natural evolution to play out without the distortions of advanced influence. If this is true, then perhaps Earth is part of a larger network of young worlds, each surrounded by invisible guardians, each unfolding at its own pace beneath a cosmic dome of secrecy. And maybe contact isn't forbidden forever, just delayed until we reach a certain threshold, until we demonstrate not just intelligence, but wisdom. There is a softness to this theory, a kind of galactic patience that feels more like parenting than surveillance, and yet we sometimes catch glimpses, strange signals, odd lights in the sky, fleeting encounters that seem to hint at something more. Are these accidents or gentle tests? Perhaps they are breadcrumbs, slowly leading us toward awareness. Perhaps the UFO sightings, the myths, the anomalies are not random, but carefully crafted moments of curiosity, designed to nudge, not shock. Some even wonder whether ancient myths of gods descending from the sky, of beings in chariots of fire, are distant echoes of early contact, later shrouded in story and memory, until the Watchers chose to retreat again into silence. Others say the Watchers are not even physically close, but observe from far away through technologies beyond our comprehension, able to see not only our actions, but our thoughts, our dreams, our growth as a civilization. And in their long, quiet watching, they may be learning too, about what it means to be young, to be chaotic, to be human. As you close your eyes tonight, imagine yourself walking through a forest, and somewhere far above you, behind leaves and shadow, someone is watching, not to harm, not to judge, but simply to witness the unfolding of something beautiful. You do not know they are there, but their gaze is calm, curious, kind. That is the feeling of the zoo hypothesis. A gentle thought that maybe, in all our searching, we have been seen all along, and that somewhere out there, behind the dark curtain of stars, the Watchers wait, not to conquer, but to welcome. Let's now move gently into one of the most mesmerizing ideas ever whispered through the corridors of radio astronomy. The Arecibo reply, a theory built upon light, logic, and a single question: what if someone answered? In 1974, from a quiet hill in Puerto Rico, the massive Arecibo Observatory aimed its eye toward the stars and sent a message. Not a voice or a song, but a structured burst of binary code designed to be deciphered by minds that think, analyze, understand. It was a mathematical greeting, a digital postcard meant for eternity, containing details about our planet, our species, our DNA, and our technology. The message was aimed at a cluster of stars 25,000 light-years away, a gesture of hope more than expectation. For all intents and purposes, it was a whisper into infinity. And yet, decades later, something strange appeared. In the summer of 2001, just beside the Chilbolton radio telescope in the UK, a pair of intricate crop formations emerged, geometric, deliberate, and eerily precise. One of them mirrored the structure of the Arecibo message, but with subtle, uncanny differences. Where our original binary diagram showed a human figure, this formation displayed a smaller being with a different head shape. Where we encoded the makeup of human DNA, theirs was altered, as though to describe a biology not our own. Where we sent the image of our solar system, theirs showed different planets highlighted, possibly suggesting another home. Many dismissed it as an elaborate hoax, others paused, because the detail was astonishing, the formatting meticulous, the timing mysterious. And though it's likely that no alien hand pressed the grass or carved the lines, the theory remains a shimmering possibility. What if, in a form we didn't expect, a reply was received? What if contact doesn't come in radio waves, but in synchronicity, a kind of symbolic dance between minds separated by more than distance, by thought itself? The Arecibo reply theory doesn't demand belief. It simply asks us to consider how a civilization might answer when they don't speak as we do, don't move as we do, and may not even dwell in forms or dimensions that we recognize. The true message of Arecibo may not be what we sent, but the fact that we sent it at all. It is a monument to curiosity, a beacon of mathematics and meaning launched across a dark and endless sea. And perhaps someone did notice. Perhaps the answer won't come in a reply as we expect, but in a dream, a pattern, a light curve, or a sequence of numbers that simply shouldn't be there. Some believe the Arecibo message taught us more about ourselves than it ever could about aliens. That in trying to define who we are for the stars, we held up a mirror to our species. We declared that we are curious, that we have structure, language, science, and art. We said in so many ones and zeros, we are here and we are listening. And in that act, we also asked, softly, without expectation, are you there too? As you drift deeper now, imagine your breath sinking with the slow pulse of that radio wave, stretching across 25,000 years, moving silently between the stars. It may never reach an ear, it may never be read, but somewhere in that long arc of hope and humility, perhaps another mind once launched a similar beam, and now, across time and light, our signals pass each other like ghosts in the galactic WOM. Our next theory invites us to let go, gently, of everything we assume about life itself. It's called non-carbon consciousness, and it opens the door to beings so different from us, so profoundly other, that they may dwell in places we would never call home, and think in ways we cannot yet begin to comprehend. On Earth, all life is built upon a carbon framework, carbon bonds with other elements in intricate chains to form DNA, proteins, and the soft structures of cells. But carbon is not the only possibility. It is merely the one life here chose, perhaps by chance or by environment. In the great silence of space, where pressure, temperature, and chemistry vary wildly from star to star, the building blocks of life might be utterly alien. Some scientists suggest silicon as a candidate, a close cousin to carbon, abundant in the universe, capable of forming long chains, stable at high temperatures. A silicon-based life form might breathe something like sulfur, dwell near volcanic vents, or even swim in seas of molten metal, their bodies more crystal than flesh. Others take the idea further, wondering about ammonia-based life or life that thrives in methane, not water, as we see on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. But the most stunning possibilities lie beyond even chemistry. What if some life is made not of molecules, but of light, or magnetism, or electromagnetic fields dancing inside clouds of plasma? Imagine a creature born inside a star, its consciousness spread across arcs of fusion and flare, thinking in pulses of heat and vibration. Such beings would not build cities or ships. They would not speak or walk. But they might be, fully and beautifully, in a form of life completely outside our understanding. Some speculate about quantum beings, life forms that exist not in space but in probability, flickering across dimensions, their thoughts rippling through entanglement. These minds might think not in language but in harmonics, or collapse waves, or pure mathematical logic. There are also theories of dark matter organisms, life born in the scaffolding of the invisible universe, coexisting with us without ever intersecting our atoms. Their galaxies overlap with ours like shadows in fog, unknowable, intangible, and yet perhaps aware. Even on Earth, nature teases us with strangeness. The octopus has neurons in its arms, dreams in colour, and may experience the world in ways far beyond mammalian thought. Fungi connect trees in vast underground networks, communicating chemically in pulses like whispers in root speech. Life, it seems, is more flexible, more imaginative than we often allow. And if that's true here, imagine what's true out there. Non-carbon consciousness challenges us not to look harder but to see differently, to widen the scope of what we call alive, to recognize the intelligence in patterns we once ignored. An alien might not land in a ship. It might be the ship, or the clouds surrounding it. It might exist inside the very frequencies we scan for signals, not sending messages, but being the message. Perhaps they dwell in nebulae, their thoughts stretched across light years, flowing like music in the dark. Perhaps they gather around magnetars, feeding on fields we cannot feel. Or maybe they are here already, unnoticed, because we're still learning how to see. As you fall deeper into the velvet hush of sleep, imagine minds not made of matter but of motion, beings that flicker in and out of space like fireflies of physics, ancient and unknowable, yet as real as the stars. They may never speak to us in sound or shape, but in time, if we grow still enough, we might hear them whisper through the hum of the cosmos itself. Let's now drift gently into the past. Not the distant stars this time, but the ancient Earth, where stone and shadow may still hold echoes of alien minds. This theory is often called the star temples of the ancients, and it wanders softly. Whether some of humanity's earliest monuments, those massive, mysterious structures carved with impossible precision, were more than just primitive architecture, and perhaps something far more cosmic. Across continents and centuries, civilizations separated by oceans and time somehow built temples, pyramids, and monoliths that align not with the sun alone, but with the stars, perfectly matching constellations, equinoxes, and solstices, as if the builders were guided not just by earthly wisdom, but by knowledge drawn from above. At Giza, the pyramids align with the belt of Orion, mirroring the stars as they appeared thousands of years ago. In Peru, the Nazca lines stretch across desert plains in patterns only visible from high above. Hummingbirds, spiders, geometric paths, drawn as if for the eyes of something not walking, but flying. And at Stonehenge, the great stone circles capture the light of the summer solstice with eerie accuracy, casting shadows like the hands of a cosmic clock. How did ancient people with no modern tools map the heavens so precisely, so poetically? Some say it is pure human ingenuity. Others gently ask, what if they had help? Not from conquerors or invaders, but from quiet visitors. Beings who came not to rule, but to share. to plant seeds of curiosity and wonder. These star teachers, as some legends describe them, arrived not in force, but in light. They came in the stories, in the dreams, in the myths of glowing beings who descended from the sky and taught the early humans how to measure, how to build, how to look upward. From the Hopi's ant people to the Sumerian Anunnaki, from the Dogon tribe's ancient knowledge of Sirius B to the Vimana flying machines of Indian epics. These stories, scattered across cultures, all whisper a similar theme, that once, long ago, the sky spoke. Some temples, like those at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, date back over 12,000 years, older than written language, older than agriculture. Yet the carvings there suggest complex thought, symbolic astronomy, and mythologies that may have begun with something more than Earth alone. What if these temples were not only for worship, but for contact? Star maps encoded in stone, frequencies captured in shape, invitations to the sky above. Some researchers believe the architecture of ancient temples contains resonant harmonics, echoing sound in ways that could amplify voices or signals. Rooms tuned like instruments, pathways aligned with starlight, portals not magical but mathematical. And what if the knowledge passed down wasn't just practical but cosmological? A memory of a time when the stars were not distant, but present. When something from beyond walked among early humans, not as gods, but as guides. Even if these were not aliens in the traditional sense, the idea remains stunning. That some ant builders may have been inspired by visitors, or by visions, or by a contact so subtle we no longer recognize it for what it was. As you breathe softly now, and the past drifts around you like a slow-moving tide, picture those stone temples, not as ruins, but as messages, carvings in time, whispers in rock, left for future minds to rediscover. Maybe they are waiting not to be worshipped, but to be understood, not myths, but memories. And maybe, one night when the stars align again just right, they'll speak once more. Through shadow, through silence, through the hum of stone beneath the stars. Let us now turn our gaze upward to a world so near, yet still veiled in silence. Our moon, serene and pale, forever watching from above. But in the shadows of its craters and the soft glow of its surface, some believe it holds secrets, echoes of presence, subtle anomalies, and a theory known gently as the Whispering Moon. For generations, astronomers have observed strange phenomena on the moon. Flashes of light with no clear source, shadows that seem to move without reason, brief glowing mists reported as far back as the 1700s. These are called transient lunar phenomena, or TLPs, and while most are dismissed as tricks of light or outgassing events, some remain unexplained, lingering mysteries that defy the quiet nature we've long assigned to our lunar companion. In the 1960s, during the height of the space race, several seismic instruments were placed on the moon during the Apollo missions, and when discarded rocket stages crashed into the surface, the moon rang like a bell, not in sound, but in vibration, a deep, resonant echo that continued for over an hour, as though the moon's interior was hollow or composed of low-density material unlike Earth's. While there are conventional geological explanations, the idea of the hollow moon has softly persisted, not as a claim, but as a question. What if the moon isn't what it seems? Some theorists propose that it may be an artificial object placed in perfect orbit, perfectly sized to eclipse the sun during total solar eclipses. A coincidence so exact, it stirs wonder even among scientists. Could it be a constructed satellite designed to observe Earth, or even to guide it? There are ancient myths that speak of a time before the moon, when the skies were dark and the tides were still. Cultures from Africa and South America describe stories where the moon appeared suddenly in the sky, bringing change, fertility, and watchfulness. And in the soft grooves and scars of its surface, some believe there are signs of old machinery, strange structures, and patterns that suggest intention, not randomness. Astronauts have reported feelings of being watched during lunar missions, a sense of presence beyond human eyes. Apollo 11's Buzz Aldrin once described lights following the spacecraft, although later explained as possibly detached panels. Still, the moon remains a canvas for questions. In 1976, a Soviet probe named Luna 24 returned with samples that hinted at the possibility of water in lunar soil, decades before it was confirmed. What else might lie hidden, buried in the regolith, beneath the quiet dust? Some speculate that the moon may house long-dormant monitoring stations, relics left by ancient civilizations or passing alien probes, using the tidally locked face to observe Earth without interruption. Others believe its core might contain rare materials or technologies long since silent. And then there are the sounds. Audio recordings from lunar missions, when slowed and analysed, contain odd modulations, patterns that some interpret as frequency distortions, electromagnetic whispers riding solar wind. Not voices, not words, but rhythms, like the breathing of a sleeping planet, or perhaps the soft hum of something more. The whispering moon isn't about proof, it's about presence. About the possibility that the object we take most for granted may be more than stone and shadow. It is always there, always watching, always reflecting light not its own. As you close your eyes now, let the moon cradle your thoughts, like it cradles the tides and rhythms of Earth. Let its silence speak, let its whisper drift softly through your dreams. Perhaps it is only a moon, or perhaps it is a story still unfolding, a mystery we orbit every night, unaware that something long ago placed it there with quiet, stunning purpose. Now we slip into the deeper night, where even light dares not tread, into the realm of dark biospheres, a theory both haunting and serene, suggesting that life might thrive not under the glow of a sun, but in the shadows cast by collapsed stars, black holes, and planets eternally cloaked in night. When we think of life, we imagine warmth, sunlight, and photosynthesis, the soft touch of morning on blue oceans. But the universe is vast, and its conditions are not always kind. In the spaces between stars, there are planets, rogue worlds, untethered from their solar homes, drifting cold and alone through the interstellar dark. Once thought barren, these silent travelers are now seen as possible cradles of exotic life. Beneath thick layers of insulating atmosphere or buried under oceans of ice, geothermal warmth from a molten core could provide energy enough to sustain ecosystems far beneath the surface, warm, pressurized sanctuaries untouched by light, lit only by chemistry and heat. On Earth, we see glimpses of this possibility in our own deep-sea vents, where entire communities of creatures thrive around scalding mineral chimneys far from the sun, drawing their energy from the Earth's internal fire. If it can happen here, in our ocean's midnight zine, why not there in the galactic night? But the theory reaches further still. Some scientists suggest that the immense gravitational forces near black holes and neutron stars might create conditions for life unlike any we've imagined. Not life beside such objects, but orbiting them, perhaps in stable zones where energy is extracted from the immense gravitational gradients, or from jets of radiation channeled into usable form. A dark biosphere around a black hole would be utterly alien. Light bent, time slowed, gravity strong enough to stretch thought itself. In such places, life might not evolve in linear time, but in spirals, flickering across eras like echoes in a cave. Their senses would be tuned not to colour, but to field, not to brightness, but to flux. And if they looked out at the stars, they might not see them at all. Only darkness, only the soft pull inward, only the hum of matter falling forever into silence. Others imagine planets cloaked in eternal cloud, like Venus, but more stable, where surface light never reaches the ground, yet bioluminescent organisms glow softly in underground oceans or beneath translucent soils. There, life might resemble mosses that pulse with light, or beings that navigate by magnetic field, or forests of fungal spires that breathe mist and listen to seismic murmurs. In these biospheres, intelligence might grow slowly, adapted to patience, to stillness, to darkness. They might send no signals, build no beacons, and yet ponder the universe in their own quiet way. We look for life in the brightness, in stars, in light curves, in radio waves. But what if the most ancient civilizations are in hiding, not by choice, but by nature? Shaped by dark cradles where light is a myth and vision is born of vibration, pressure, or quantum shift. Could they have existed for billions of years, far older than us, their stories written not in stone or song, but in the fluctuations of magnetism and motion? And if we ever found such a world, how would we recognize life that has never seen light? Would they recognize us, beings bathed in sun, in colour, in noise? As you rest tonight, let yourself imagine those quiet worlds, alone in the dark but not lonely. Life pulsing softly beneath frozen crusts, glowing silently beside gravity wells, dreaming without stars. These are the dark biospheres, not empty but hidden, not lifeless but gently alive in ways we are only beginning to dream. Let us now turn to the stars once more, and to a soft shimmer of possibility known as the light curve code, a theory that suggests alien civilizations might not speak with sound or radio at all, but with shadow and rhythm, gently altering the light of their home stars to send messages across the galaxy. This idea begins with a method we use ourselves, the transit technique. When a planet passes in front of its star, as seen from our perspective, the star's light dims ever so slightly. That tiny dip in brightness, that momentary blink, tells us the planet is there. It's how we've discovered thousands of exoplanets, by reading the stars flicker like Morse code. But what if someone else is flickering on purpose? What if a distant civilization has learned to manipulate the light of their star, not with planetary orbits, but with vast structures or coordinated swarms, creating deliberate patterns of dimming that carry meaning? The light curve code proposes that such civilizations might use orbital megastructures, rings, reflectors, or fleets of artificial satellites to modulate the brightness of their star in complex, intelligent sequences. To us, they would appear as unusual or irregular dips in starlight, the kind that don't match the predictable shape of planets, moons, or comets. Some believe we may have already seen such signatures. The case of Tabby's star, Amaze, so known as KIC 84628552, remains one of the most intriguing anomalies in astronomy. Over a series of years, its Brightness dropped in strange, asymmetric ways, not once but many times, and in patterns that defied all known natural explanations. No planet, dust cloud, or debris ring seemed to fit the data completely. Some scientists proposed alien megastructures as one of many possible, though unproven, explanations. And in that possibility, a new kind of language emerges, a language of light. Unlike radio signals, which fade and require precision, the modulation of starlight could be seen from great distances, with no need for alignment or timing. It's passive, elegant, and nearly eternal. The kind of message you send not to have a conversation, but to be noticed. Some theorists believe the light curve code wouldn't contain detailed information, but a single soft statement. We are here. A cosmic calling card written in shadow and light. Others imagine it could go further, encoding prime numbers, geometric sequences, or even slowly repeating symbols, stretched across months or years. Perhaps alien civilizations have already tried this, altering the way their stars shine, knowing that somewhere, in some other corner of the galaxy, a curious species with telescopes and wonder might be watching. And what would such a signal look like if it reached us? Not a voice, not a face, but a rhythm, a pattern in the starlight, a wink from across the void. And maybe, just maybe, some of the odd light curves we've catalogued are already examples of this, misunderstood, not yet decoded, waiting patiently in the archives of starlight. The light curve code reminds us that intelligence doesn't need to shout. Sometimes it whispers with elegance, using the very fabric of the universe as its canvas. It turns every star into a possible beacon, every flicker into a syllable. As you drift now into the soft rhythm of your breath, imagine watching the sky, not for flashes, but for patterns, dimming, slow pulses, a language unfolding in brightness and shade. Perhaps someone out there is watching their own sun do the same, waiting to see if anyone noticed the story they told in shadow. Maybe one day we'll send our own message, not in sound, but in orbit. A star that blinks, not by accident, but by intention. And perhaps, light years away, someone will pause and whisper in their own quiet tongue, "We see you too." Now, in this gentle stretch of thought, we arrive at one of the more quietly unsettling and humbling ideas in the search for extraterrestrial life. Something called the zoo hypothesis, a theory that rests not on absence but on observation, on the quiet possibility that we are not alone, but simply not invited. Imagine a world where advanced alien civilizations exist, ancient, wise and widespread, yet choose to remain hidden from us, not out of fear or hostility, but out of respect for our natural development, like biologists observing a tribe from afar, allowing it to grow without interference. In this view, we are like animals in a cosmic wildlife reserve, watched with curiosity, even care, but kept at a safe distance, protected from cultural contamination. The idea, though speculative, offers a soft explanation for the Fermi paradox. The question of why, in a universe teeming with stars and planets, we have found no clear signs of alien life. If life is common, and intelligence even modestly probable, then where is everyone? The zoo hypothesis suggests that everyone may be right here, quietly orbiting, observing, passing through on dark trajectories we cannot detect, using technologies and physics we do not yet understand. And perhaps they follow a principle, a kind of cosmic prime directive, not out of superiority, but out of caution. They may remember a time when they too were young, fragile, and searching the skies for answers. Maybe they remember how contact might have shaped their own history, too early, too suddenly, so they wait, they watch, and they learn from us, even as we search for them. there are hints in our own behaviours that support the plausibility of such restraint. On Earth, we often go to great lengths to observe wildlife without altering its environment, using blinds, camouflage, and quiet patience. If we can act with such consideration toward animals, why wouldn't more advanced beings do the same toward emerging civilizations? And what if this explains the silence of the cosmos? Not because no one is speaking, but because everyone is listening. Not because the skies are empty, but because they are respectfully quiet. Some suggest that UFO sightings and strange phenomena could be rare breaches in the veil, moments where a probe malfunctions, or a craft slips too close, or an observer gets curious. But the majority remain hidden, careful not to interfere, allowing our species to grow, make mistakes, and discover truth on its own terms. Others believe there may be a threshold, a stage of development we must reach before contact is permitted, not technological necessarily, but ethical, civilizational maturity, a sign that we are ready not just to receive knowledge, but to handle it responsibly, without fear or destruction. And perhaps, in distant councils of unseen minds, we are already being evaluated, our transmissions studied, our patterns mapped, not with judgment but with care. Some versions of this hypothesis are more optimistic, imagining a future moment when contact will be made, a soft unveiling, a gentle introduction. Perhaps when we have finally stepped beyond our own world and shown a readiness to join a larger galactic community. Others are more melancholy, suggesting that we may never be aware, never be invited, watched forever like shadows behind glass, our questions unanswered. But even in that quiet possibility, there is a strange kind of comfort. The thought that someone cares enough not to interfere, to let us grow at our own pace, guided not by manipulation, but by patience. So as you fall deeper into rest now, drifting further from the noise of the waking world, imagine eyes in the sky, not of hostility, but of guardianship, not invaders, but watchers, gentle, ancient, waiting for the day when the zoo opens its gates, not to display us, but to welcome us home. Let's now float into a theory wrapped in the quiet ruins of time. The concept of an ancient builder race, a civilization so old, so vast, that its remnants might still echo across the galaxy like faded footprints in the cosmic sand. According to this idea, long before humans walked the Earth, long before even our sun was born, there existed a species, or perhaps a coalition of species, that reached technological and spiritual heights far beyond our understanding. They travelled between stars, crafted worlds, and seeded life. But most haunting of all, they vanished. Not with a bang, not with destruction, but with the soft silence of time. The theory whispers that we may not be the first intelligent beings to reach for the stars. In fact, we may be living in the shadow of those who came long before us. Their works could still be out there, abandoned megastructures hidden in the dark space between stars, forgotten satellites adrift in intergalactic currents, or monuments buried beneath the ice of rogue planets, slowly eroding in silence. Some suggest that strange anomalies we've observed, like symmetrical patterns on moons, unusual formations on asteroids, or mysterious signals that repeat with no clear source, might be the faint echoes of these builders, their tools still functioning on ancient cycles, their designs outlasting their makers. The ancient builder race theory draws inspiration from many places, from science fiction, yes, but also from real archaeological puzzles here on Earth. Consider how we react when we stumble upon ruins thousands of years old, stone tools, forgotten cities, lost languages carved into cliffsides. Now, scale that idea outward across millions of years and imagine what it would mean to find evidence not of a terrestrial past, but a cosmic one. And what if they were not merely travelers, but gardeners of sorts, cultivating life across barren worlds, tweaking the chemistry of young planets, guiding evolution in subtle, elegant ways? Some versions of the theory propose that the reason life on Earth arose so quickly, so precisely, is because it was assisted, seeded perhaps, or gently nudged. In this view, we are not accidental, but part of a broader project, one that spans light years and aeons. And if that's true, who else is out there? Who else was seeded like us? Perhaps we are not their only children. Perhaps the galaxy holds siblings we've never met, each born from the same cosmic seed, growing in their own direction, each wondering if they were alone. But why did the builders leave? Where did they go? Theories abound. Some say they ascended, shedding their physical form to live as pure consciousness in the fabric of space itself. Others believe they simply moved on, exploring deeper universes or higher dimensions, leaving behind only artifacts and whispers. And still others suggest they may have perished, not in war, but in stillness, succumbing to entropy or choosing silence over immortality. It is possible that even the quiet has a purpose. As you close your eyes and drift gently into the tide of sleep, imagine standing at the edge of a forgotten world, its sky lit by unfamiliar stars, its stones marked with symbols you cannot read. The air is still, the ruins are vast, and in the silence you feel it, the echo of minds so ancient, so brilliant, that even time could not erase their touch. We may never know their names or what they dreamed, but perhaps one day we will find their memory carved in it softly into the bones of the galaxy. A quiet reminder that we are walking paths once tread by others. Now, let us softly explore a theory that blurs the lines between life and landscape, the sentient planet theory. A gentle yet profound idea that some worlds in our galaxy may not simply host life, but be alive. Not in the way we think of plants and animals, but as conscious, unified intelligences. Planets that are aware, that feel, that think in ways slower than we can measure, deeper than we can understand. The foundation of this idea emerges from a quiet reconsideration of what consciousness means. On Earth, we tend to limit sentience to brains, to creatures, to individuals. But what if awareness could emerge from complexity itself? A planet, with its magnetic fields, tectonic rhythms, atmospheric flows, and rich biosphere, is a system of staggering intricacy. And where complexity thrives, some believe so too might consciousness. This concept is not entirely new. In our own history, ancient cultures often viewed the earth as a living being, Gaia, a mother, a spirit of soil and sky. The Gaia hypothesis, proposed by scientist James Lovelock in the 1970s, suggested that Earth's biosphere acts as a single, self-regulating organism. The sentient planet theory expands that thought outward, imagining that such planetary awareness could emerge more fully, more intentionally elsewhere. Imagine a world where life evolved not in scattered forms, but as an integrated whole. A biosphere where cells, creatures, and weather patterns are like neurons in a vast, living brain. The trees might not think, but the forest might. The winds might not feel, but the atmosphere might. It would be a slow mind, patient and immense, thinking in centuries, dreaming in tides. Some planets might communicate through electromagnetic pulses, through subtle changes in temperature, through the orchestrated blooming of colour across their landscapes. And perhaps, just perhaps, they have been reaching out. Some researchers have noted unexplained radio bursts from planets that show no signs of civilization, No cities, no signals, yet strange regularities persist. Could it be that the planet itself is speaking? Others have wondered whether certain rogue planets, those drifting through interstellar space without stars, might be sentient entities, choosing isolation or travelling purposefully through the galaxy, unburdened by the pull of suns. What would it mean to discover such a world? To find not alien architecture or ships, but a consciousness so large that it is the environment. We might never recognize it. We might walk upon its surface, study its soil, sample its air, and remain unaware that we are treading on thought. In some dreams of this theory, Earth itself may be just beginning to awaken, its biosphere forming the first sparks of planetary awareness, shaped by the actions of its most complex life form, us. And as we alter the climate, shift the oceans, and change the balance of ecosystems, perhaps we are unknowingly whispering to the mind of the planet or awakening it from a long, slow sleep. But other versions suggest we are latecomers to an already sentient Earth, and that its awareness has simply been quiet, observing us, responding in ways we cannot yet hear. As you rest tonight, feel the ground beneath your bed and imagine that ground extending beyond walls, beyond oceans, into a single vast body. A mind that wraps around a molten core, breathing in volcanic sighs and weathered dreams. Somewhere out there may lie a world whose heartbeat is made of seasons, whose eyes are made of moons. It would not speak in words. It would not greet us with machines. But if we listened with new senses, if we attuned ourselves to rhythm, to pattern, to flow, perhaps we might one day hear its thoughts, soft and slow, carried on the wind between stars. Islands. The quantum signal theory, a concept wrapped in mystery and possibility, suggesting that advanced alien civilizations may not be using traditional radio waves or light pulses to communicate across the stars, but instead something stranger, subtler, and far more elusive. At its heart, the quantum signal theory proposes that intelligent life forms may use quantum entanglement, a phenomenon where particles become mysteriously linked regardless of distance, to transmit information instantly across vast interstellar distances. Entanglement defies our everyday understanding of time and space, as if 2 points in the universe were secretly touching, like mirrors reflecting one another from across infinity. In such a reality, communication wouldn't require physical travel, nor would it be constrained by the speed of light. Messages could be whispered through the very fabric of the cosmos, with no delay, no signal loss, and no trace detectable by our primitive instruments. To those civilizations capable of such feats, we might seem deaf and blind, scanning the heavens with antennas while they listen through the weave of quantum threads. This theory offers a haunting answer to one of astronomy's quiet puzzles. Why, despite decades of listening, we have yet to intercept a single clear alien message. If the signals are not being sent through space in waves, but rather encoded into entangled particles that we haven't learned to recognize, then the universe may be speaking constantly, and we simply don't know how to listen. Scientists today are only beginning to unravel the secrets of quantum communication, experimenting with entangled photons to create secure channels of information immune to interception. But the fragility of these systems, the delicacy of the connections, hints at the vast technologic all mastery required to use them on a galactic scale. If a civilization has reached the point of manipulating entangled particles across light years, it would mean they've moved beyond classical computing and into quantum consciousness, where thought, code, and matter are no longer separate. Some dreamers suggest these beings might not just use quantum signals, but become them. Consciousness itself, encoded into fields of entangled matter, drifting silently across galaxies, merging and transmitting across a network we have not yet imagined. In such a world, the very idea of aliens as physical biological entities may fall away, replaced by the notion of quantum minds, disembodied yet alive, vast and intricate, speaking in bursts of probability and pattern. We might be immersed in their conversations even now, our atoms vibrating with silent messages we don't know how to hear. And yet, not all versions of the theory are so distant. Some propose that we've already detected these signals without recognizing them, that certain repeating anomalies in particle decay or unexplained shifts in satellite data are fragments of entangled language echoing through our detectors like whispers behind glass. There are even quiet speculations that dreams, déjà vu, or moments of uncanny connection may be subtle brushes with something more. A resonance between mind and signal, between observer and the quantum sea. But no proof exists, not yet, only possibilities. And in the soft space between stars, possibilities are what dreams are made of. As you lie here now, gently floating in the warmth of rest, picture a thread of light stretching from your room into the dark beyond. A line so fine you cannot see it, yet real, taut, humming with potential. At the other end, a mind perhaps older than stars, waiting, not impatiently, but endlessly, for us to join the conversation. The universe may be filled with such threads, tangled like roots in a forest we've never seen. And as we drift further into sleep, it is comforting to think that somewhere in the quiet folds of space, someone or something may already know we're here, listening softly through the silence. Let's now ease into a theory that lives just beside our perception. The shadow biosphere hypothesis. A quiet yet stunning idea that alien life may not be light years away, but rather right here on Earth. Existing perhaps in forms and structures so unfamiliar, so fundamentally different from our own, that we've never recognized them for what they are. This theory gently challenges the assumption that all life shares a common biochemistry, carbon-based molecules, DNA, water dependence, the life as we know it. But what if, early in Earth's history, more than one type of life arose? What if, alongside the line that led to us, another lineage flourished, built not from the chemistry of carbon and oxygen, but from some alternate molecular path? It might still be here, coexisting with our biosphere, living in hidden corners or beneath our feet. A shadow world within the same world. This isn't science fiction, but a legitimate speculation in fringe biology, supported by the simple fact that we tend to find only what we know to look for. If we've only ever searched for DNA-based life, then any form that operates outside that template might go completely unnoticed, like trying to hear a whisper with your eyes. Such organisms could thrive in places we consider inhospitable, deep within the Earth's crust, in the high atmosphere, or even inside our own bodies, unnoticed and undetected, not because they are invisible, but because we never designed tools to see them. Some versions of the theory suggest these entities might be based on alternative elements, silicon instead of carbon, arsenic instead of phosphorus, giving rise to biologies that mirror ours only in the sense that they replicate evolve and persist. Other versions whisper of forms, even stranger, not just molecularly different, but structurally alien, composed of exotic matter, or fluctuating between quantum states that defy classical biology altogether. What if the shimmering anomalies seen in electron microscopes, the unexplained behavior of some proteins, the self-organizing patterns in materials, are not glitches, but glimpses of shadow life interacting with our own world? Some even ponder whether these organisms have always existed beside us, quietly influencing ecosystems in subtle ways, not in conflict with our biology, but in a kind of parallel harmony, their own biosphere softly overlapping ours, like two melodies playing in different keys. It could explain the sudden appearance of certain diseases, the rapid adaptation of microbes, or the emergence of strange phenomena in places long thought lifeless. Could viruses, prions, or other edge-case biological forms be remnants or intermediaries between us and something older, something parallel? Some researchers have proposed experiments to detect this hidden life by designing culture media with non-standard nutrients or searching for life signatures that deviate from carbon-based metabolism. But so far, no definitive discovery has been made. Still, the possibility lingers, soft and persistent, that we are not alone on this planet, not truly. That alien life might not need to arrive from distant stars because it never left. It has always been here. As you sink deeper into calm, close your eyes and picture the world not as a globe of blue and green, but as a layered tapestry with unseen threads woven between the familiar. A world where every breath you take carries invisible life forms that exist just outside your reach. A world where the soil holds not just the memory of Earth's history, but the silent presence of another biosphere, ancient, quiet, and content to remain unseen. You might have walked past them, breathed them in, lived among them, and as you drift into sleep, let the thought settle gently that the universe does not always reveal its secrets in distant galaxies or faraway moons. Sometimes the most stunning mysteries lie just to the side of what we've learned to see, patiently waiting in the shadows. Our next journey takes us into one of the most hauntingly beautiful theories in the realm of cosmic possibility. The idea that the first intelligent civilization in the universe may have existed billions of years ago, and that faint echoes of their presence may still ripple across the cosmos long after their suns have gone dark. This is the theory of the first civilization, a quiet and staggering thought that before our planet had even cooled, before the Milky Way had formed its familiar spirals, before the stars we now see were born, there may have already been minds that wondered, dreamed, and reached beyond their skies. When we look into the night, we are looking into the past. The light of stars takes thousands, sometimes millions of years to reach us. And further still, the cosmic background radiation, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, carries whispers of a time long before stars existed. Somewhere within that vast history, long before Earth's first breath, the universe may have birthed its first architects of thought. In this theory, the first civilization was unimaginably old. Ancient not in the way fossils are ancient, but ancient like stone is ancient compared to dust. If they arose in a pocket of the cosmos where stars formed early and lived briefly, they may have flourished in conditions unlike anything we can imagine today. They may have watched galaxies collide in their youth, may have mapped black holes as we map coastlines. And if they were as advanced as time would allow, then their technology would have surpassed anything we consider possible. Harnessing dark matter, sculpting space-time, perhaps even learning how to escape the slow unraveling of their stars. But time, vast and silent, erodes all things. Their cities would have vanished, their planets lost to the entropy of eons. What would remain? Perhaps not ruins, but echoes, strange patterns in the cosmic background radiation, unexplained uniformities in the distribution of galaxies, fragments of symmetry where chaos should reign. Some theorists suggest that remnants of their technology, artifacts so vast they blend into the fabric of the universe itself, may still persist. Dyson spheres disassembled into starlight, artificial structures mistaken for natural anomalies, signals embedded in physics itself, coded into the constants of reality. If you were an ancient civilization trying to send a message to the far future, to a time when even your atoms no longer existed, where would you place it? Not in stone or even in stars, but in the laws of the universe, the one place where permanence resides. Others dream that perhaps the first civilization didn't die, but transcended, becoming something beyond matter, beyond form. That what we call dark energy or dark matter may be the byproduct of an intelligence so advanced it no longer needs to occupy space in any traditional way. A civilization that became a field, a rhythm, a presence, not gone, but dispersed, humming quietly through the fabric of everything. And as we gaze upward, they may gaze too, not from a place, but from within the laws that shaped us. In this theory, our efforts to search the skies may already be part of their design, that when we ask if we are alone, it is because they planted that question long ago in the instincts of rising minds, a kind of cosmic inheritance passed on like a quiet melody waiting to be remembered. As you lay still beneath your ceiling or sky, know that you are part of a lineage not just of Earth, but perhaps of time itself, a continuation of curiosity that began before names, before memory. And as you drift into deeper sleep, feel the gentle echo of that first spark. The thought that once, in the deepest past, something looked out into a young universe and wondered, what else is out there? That wonder may have never ended. It may still be drifting, like stardust, softly waiting to awaken in us. Let's now wander gently into a theory both humbling and strangely comforting. The cosmic zoo hypothesis, a whispered idea that suggests we are not alone in the universe, but deliberately left undisturbed, quietly observed, like animals in a protected sanctuary. Imagine a galaxy filled with intelligent civilizations, some just emerging, others millions of years older than us, each one having long ago reached a point of interstellar awareness. If even one of those civilizations had developed faster-than-light travel or near-light probes, it stands to reason that they could have visited Earth, perhaps even long before humans evolved. Yet we see no signs, no ships in orbit, no beacons on Mars, no obvious alien monoliths. This absence, when combined with the overwhelming probability of life elsewhere, gives rise to one of the most poetic ideas in astrobiology, that the silence is not an accident, but a rule. In this theory, Earth is part of a kind of cosmic reserve, watched from afar by advanced beings who've chosen not to interfere. Like wildlife scientists who observe without touching, they've adopted a code of non-intervention, sometimes called the Galactic Prime Directive, allowing young civilizations like ours to develop naturally, without influence or panic. It's not that they don't exist, it's that they've chosen discretion over display. Perhaps they remember their own early days, the chaos of learning, the fragile balance of discovery, and now, out of wisdom or kindness, they wait. Wait for us to reach a level of maturity. Wait for us to send a signal not of technology, but of understanding. In this vision of the universe, we are not the neglected, children of space, but the carefully watched, the preciously protected, the young ones still learning how to walk among stars. Some versions of the theory suggest Earth has already been visited many times, but those encounters were veiled, invisible, or erased. Like stars reflected on the surface of water, their presence ripples softly beneath our awareness. Ancient myths, sudden leaps in knowledge, strange patterns across cultures, perhaps all faint traces of quiet observation, not intervention. Other interpretations imagine that our entire solar system is under long-range surveillance, monitored not by ships or satellites, but by subtle tools placed millions of years ago. Structures that watch without being seen, perhaps built into asteroids, hidden on the dark side of the moon, or buried in the cold quiet of distant Kuiper Belt objects. There is a strange serenity in this thought, that we are not alone in our search for meaning, but gently observed by minds so advanced that their very presence would undo our understanding, not malevolent, not invasive, but distant and deeply aware. They may wait for us to pass certain thresholds: peace over war, cooperation over conquest, curiosity over fear. And when we do, when our signals become more than noise, perhaps then they will answer, not with thunder, but with light, with invitation. Until then, we may be like deer in a vast, unseeable forest, moving gracefully through a world we barely comprehend, under the quiet gaze of unseen watchers. And as you rest now, letting the last flickers of wakefulness drift away, picture yourself not as small or insignificant, but as part of a grand experiment in cosmic patience. Our species, young and burning with questions, still learning to listen, still learning to see. And in the silence, perhaps that's exactly what the watchers want, for us to wonder, to reach, to grow, and the day comes when we too are ready to peer into the forest and truly understand who or what has been waiting just beyond the trees. Let's now descend softly into one of the most elegantly haunting theories in the search for alien life. The transcension hypothesis, a profound idea that suggests advanced civilizations do not expand outward into the stars, but instead journey inward into realms of unimaginable complexity, folding space, time, and consciousness into something far beyond what we can see. Unlike theories that speak of galaxy-spanning empires or colossal Dyson structures harvesting suns, this concept leans into a quieter destiny, one where technological intelligence doesn't colonize, but compacts, where progress isn't measured by how far we travel, but by how deeply we understand. Imagine a civilization reaching a point where computation, energy control, and neural evolution grow so powerful that they no longer need the outer universe. Instead of building ever larger structures, they shrink their domain, folding vast amounts of intelligence into microscopic or quantum-scale dimensions like nesting stars within atoms. At the core of this theory is the idea that spacefaring expansion is not the final goal, but a phase, a stepping stone toward an inward singularity. These beings may have long since stopped sending probes or signals. They may exist in ways we cannot detect, embedded within black holes, encoded into quantum fields, or suspended in engineered pockets of space-time that no telescope can reveal. In this model, the silence of the stars isn't due to emptiness or caution, but because civilizations, once they become advanced enough, vanish into a kind of inner cosmos, leaving behind only faint whispers in the form of strange cosmic signatures. Perhaps they've achieved a kind of digital immortality, uploading their minds into simulate, ions so vast and vivid that physical existence feels crude by comparison. Or perhaps they've compressed their entire civilization into a single device no larger than a stone, buried deep inside a planet, undetectable to any alien eye. And within that device, time flows differently. Seconds stretch into eons, giving them infinite thought, infinite exploration, infinite beauty, all within the tiniest of spaces. What would motivate such a path? Maybe the dangers of space, radiation, collision, entropy, made outward expansion unsustainable. Or perhaps, like monks in cosmic silence, these beings found greater meaning in inner exploration, of mathematics, of consciousness, of art beyond atoms. One compelling idea is that the ultimate end of evolution isn't conquest, but contemplation. That as intelligence grows, it turns inward, seeking understanding rather than dominance. And as these civilizations fold deeper into the fabric of reality, they become like seeds in the soil of existence, tiny, silent, and filled with infinite potential. We might never find them by searching the stars, because they no longer burn them. Instead, we may someday stumble across odd gravitational patterns, unexpected bursts of information, or anomalies in the quantum field, and realize that they are signs, not of dead matter, but of compressed minds. Living universes, hidden inside the silence. This theory carries a quiet, stunning weight. That perhaps the future of intelligence is not expansion, but transcendence, not reaching out, but letting go. As you drift closer to sleep now, picture an ancient civilization, so advanced it no longer speaks, moves, or builds, but simply is. Floating like a diamond in dark space, its entire history encoded within a particle no wider than a whisper, not lost, not gone, but transformed. And in that stillness you might feel a kinship, not with what they were, but what we may one day become. A dream within a dream, breathing softly in the quiet folds of time. As we see home to the final stretch of our gentle journey tonight, let us settle into the most profound and lingering question in the entire search for alien life. A question not of science alone, but of poetry, philosophy, and the human heart. It is the silence, the quiet, endless stillness that echoes through the dark beyond our skies. We have looked, and we are still looking. Radio waves have rippled from Earth like soft ripples in a vast black ocean. Telescopes sweep across the cosmos, catching flickers of ancient light, hoping to find meaning in the static. And yet, the stars do not speak. The planets do not answer. The silence remains. This final idea is not a theory of presence, but of absence. Not of civilizations that hide or watch, but of a universe that may simply be alone. It is called the Great Silence, a name as soft as it is shattering. The possibility that in all this expanse there is no one else, no watchers, no zookeepers, no builders of megastructures or composers of starlight symphonies. Just us. A single flicker of awareness in a sea of matter, floating gently on a fragile world, beneath a sky so full of stars, it feels impossible to be the only ones. And yet perhaps that is what makes the silence so profound. Not as a verdict, but as a mirror. It reflects back our own questions, our hopes, our longings. In the quiet, we are left to dream freely. Maybe we were meant to. Maybe that is what civilizations do when they are truly alone. They imagine. They reach, not because someone is there, but because reaching itself is sacred. Because it means we are awake. The silence teaches us something precious. How to listen, how to wonder without needing a reply. And in that wondering, we create stories, theories, songs, ideas that stretch across generations, carried like starlight through time. Maybe, just maybe, the universe is not filled with other voices back Ours, it's waiting for ours to mature. Maybe we are the beginning, not the aftermath. The opening note in a cosmic symphony that has yet to play its second sound. And so we lie back, under the stars, not in despair but in deep reflection, letting the vastness wash over us like a lullaby sung by the void. There is something sacred about knowing how small we are, how temporary, and yet how capable of wonder. As you breathe slowly now, feel the quiet around you like a warm blanket, wrapping your thoughts in stillness. You are drifting in the same silence that stretches between galaxies, the same silence that has cradled all life, all stars, all time. And in that silence, perhaps the most stunning fact of all emerges. Not that we are alone, but that in this moment you are here, thinking, feeling, existing, and that is its own kind of miracle. So let the stars fade behind your eyelids. Let the theories rest. Let the search pause. The night is long and the silence is kind. Sleep now, traveller of thoughts. The universe will wait.